This is Chris Yow with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best-looking girl, Bananarama, so the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller from Mornings on Main Street. Join us March 23rd at Bridgestone Arena with the Nashville Predators for Main Street Media Night. I know Devin O'Day will be here.
You know I will be, Stephanie. Plus, you can register for a Predators prize pack. They were going to call it the Hockey Hootenanny, but they changed. So it's going to have 4 tickets and food vouchers. You got to register to win.
We're looking forward to seeing all of our Main Street Sports Today fans, right, Chris?
Absolutely, we are. And we could not do this without, of course, our owner, Dave Gould, and our friends here at Smashville.
Speaking of,
where is Dave?
we will see you March 23rd for Main Street Media Night. Let's go, Prince!
Do I have the wrong night?
Welcome in, everyone, to Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Coming to you from the Mobile Lee Company studio here at Murphy Center at the Blue Cross Basketball Championships. Super exciting as we are watching Wayne County and Hampton in this Class 1A semifinal. There's been a lot of great basketball already this morning in both the high school and college ranks that we've been watching and listening to. So we've got a lot to talk about today, going to be getting into it. But first, Mo, what's up, man? How are you?
Well, you pretty well covered it all. I mean, we're here at Murphy Center watching some great girls high school basketball as we get toward championships. All 4 girls public school championship games are set for tomorrow. We won't be here, but seeing some great semifinals so far today. So.
Absolutely. It has been a lot. It's been a great week thus far, and we'll crown some champions, give some gold balls out tomorrow. But until then, we're here with you until 3:30. Thanks for bearing with us there in the first part of the show. Man, Wayne County is just so good.
Starting to pull away here.
Undefeated are the Lady Cats. So. Mo, we've got Michael ODOM from the MILAN Mirror Exchange who's going to join us. That's going to be a lot of fun. Just a few minutes here. We've also got Noah McKay who's going to come back after his visit yesterday. We enjoyed it so much we figured we'd run it back again.
Absolutely. You know, he's got a lot of insight on those teams up there, just like Michael does on those teams out in West Tennessee that, we got McKenzie coming in the next Class 1A semifinal game. Jackson Southside is already through to the 3A championship game. They'll play Livingston tomorrow. So looking forward to talking to both those guys. We also got the possibility of an all West Tennessee 2A championship game. Those semifinals are later on today as Westview and Gibson County will both play for championship game berths. And would probably be favored, really. So.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive what they're able to do out there. No question. All right, well, we've got a lot to get to. As I said, we'll get you results and the schedule as we go to the rundown.
This is the rundown.
The Friday Rundown is brought to you by Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb & Associates. The voice of the Blue Raiders also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or through his website at choosechip.net. Chip Walters, proud to support youth sports across Middle Tennessee.
Girls state tournament action yesterday. Gibson County 60-36 winners over Riverside. Was men's 62. Gatlinburg Pittman 50. Community down to Scotts Hill 53-52. And Westview was a 44-42 winner over York Institute. Livingston Academy down south, Gibson 50-36, and Jackson Southside in double overtime. A game that was the second highest scoring girls state tournament game in history. 84-76 in double overtime over Elizabethton. Today, Bartlett down Green Hill in the opener, 56-35. And Bradley Central was a 59-43 winner over Cookeville. Right now, Wayne County leads Hampton 42-34 going into the fourth quarter. And in women's college basketball action yesterday, Middle Tennessee State down to Charlotte 84-53.
In men's basketball action on yesterday at the collegiate level, Tennessee defeated Ole Miss 70-55. Vanderbilt continues to insert themselves in the NCAA conversation. I don't care what anybody says. With a 77-68 win over LSU. In Conference USA tournament action yesterday, Middle Tennessee State advanced with a 66-65 win over Charlotte. However, came up just a little short, literally just a little short today in a 68-65 loss to Florida Atlantic in the semifinals. So, tough loss for the Blue Raiders just before we came on the air, basically. And softball action results. Trevecca defeated Staten Island 8-0 behind a perfect game from Ashland Sensing. Dixon County? Right? Yeah. Former Lady Cougar, Ashland Sensing with the perfect game for the Lady Trojans. Also, Trevecca defeated Wheeling 3-2. Southern Illinois with a 5-3 win over Middle Tennessee State yesterday. Today, Trevecca plays Southwest Minnesota State. Is that one ongoing now?
Yeah, it was actually this morning, and I don't know the final score. So
okay. All right. In the NBA last night, the Memphis Grizzlies defeated Golden State 131-110.
It was a 7-0 win for Trevecca against Southwest Minnesota State, and they're currently leading Edinburgh 3-0 in the bottom of the third. So pretty good weekend right now for the Lady Trojans, who haven't lost since last Tuesday.
There you go.
All right. In girls state tournament play again, Wayne County Hampton right now 44-34 is the score. After this one, McKenzie takes on Van Buren County. Gibson County at 4:30 will be taking on McMinn Central. And Community and Unionville, the entire community will be here, taking on Westview at 6 o'clock. Tomorrow, Class 3A State Championship, Livingston Academy, Jackson Southside, 11 a.m. Class 4A State Championship, Bradley Central and Bartlett at 1:30. The 1A State Finals will be at 4 and the 2A Finals at 6:30.
Men's basketball action, the SEC tournament at Bridgestone today. Tennessee takes on Missouri here in about 20 minutes. That game can be seen on ESPN. Vanderbilt, Kentucky, the nightcap at 8:30 on the SEC network. It's semifinals tomorrow. Championship game Sunday at 1 on ESPN. Women's basketball, the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. Southern Illinois and Belmont play at 6 o'clock on ESPN+. Baseball series this weekend. Loyola Marymount is at Vanderbilt. Morehead State is at Tennessee. Middle Tennessee State hosts Evansville. Austin Peay takes on Purdue Fort Wayne at Evansville.
I don't understand any of that.
Western Illinois is at Belmont. Lipscomb goes to Mississippi State. Shawnee State is at Cumberland. And UT Southern hosts the University of the Cumberlands. And in junior college action this weekend, Columbia State travels to Dyersburg State, and Volunteer State hosts Rome State.
Softball action. Middle Tennessee State at home right now They've got Green Bay at 5:30, Appalachian State at 8 o'clock, and there are other games going on. So if you're in Murfreesboro and you're not inside the glass house, maybe check out some softball. There's plenty of it going on over there. Weekend Classics, Austin P and Belmont are at the Governor's Classic at Austin P. Good for Austin P to be there. Very important. If you're hosting a classic, you should probably be there.
Yeah.
Akron, Indiana, and Evansville will be in Nashville, taking on Lipscomb at the Lady Bison Classic. Tribeca continues down in Leesburg, Florida, and weekend series action. Ole Miss and Tennessee starting SEC play already. Goodness gracious. Western Illinois is at Middle Tennessee State. That's a Saturday and Sunday affair. Pikeville at Cumberland, and the UT Southern hosts Campbellsville. In junior college play, same as the baseball. Columbia State's at Dyersburg. Vol State at home against Rome. Saturday NBA action. The Mavericks are at the Grizzlies. That's a 7 o'clock tip on Bally. And NHL action, to the Preds are at the Kings at 9:30 on Bally Sports South on Saturday. And Sunday, the Preds are at the Ducks at 8:30 on Bally. That is your rundown. Phew. We've had worse.
Oh, absolutely.
But that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got plenty to get to, and our top story today comes to us from the world of college basketball, but not what we're all currently talking about.
Comes to us from Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Little Bessie girl, I once knew. Will Wade, we've talked about it several times on this show. He very well could get a coaching gig. Well, McNeese State, according to Seth Davis at The Athletic, may be that gig, staying in Louisiana. So an interesting situation here because the NCAA has not levied its final punishments against Will Wade or LSU for that matter. And not sure what it's going to entail, but if a show cause is involved, that could certainly throw a wrench into things, you would think.
I don't know. I don't know how you hire this guy without that situation being resolved. According to The Athletic, Wade was fired for cause last March after a notice of allegation charged him with 5 level 1 violations. Previously coached at Chattanooga and at VCU before taking over at LSU prior to the 17-18 season. And McNeese fired their coach, John Aiken, earlier this week after they went 22-45 over the past 2 years. Now, again, there's some unfinished business between LSU and thus between Will Wade, the Franklin Road Academy graduate, and the NCAA. So, according to this, Wade will almost certainly face severe penalties in the form of a suspension or a show cause. A show cause would not preclude McNeese State from hiring him, and the school could opt to ride out the suspension. McNeese knows all of this, so it appears the school is willing to accept the consequences of making this hire should they decide to go through with it. Why would you hire a guy who's facing a suspension?
That's a great question. And here's the thing about that is if you do hire a guy and he does get suspended, you got to hire somebody else, or you got to just expect that his assistant or whomever is going to be, good enough.
And for how much of a suspension are we talking about? Are we talking about
a year or two?
Are we talking about a year? Are we talking about a handful of games? And that would make a difference, I would think. So again, why are you hiring a guy who's possibly facing a suspension? An indefinite one. You have no idea how long it is.
And a show cause doesn't mean you can't hire somebody. You just have to show the reason you're hiring.
Why you're hiring him and why he deserves to be in that position. I can't imagine the NCAA is going to hand down a show cause and then you just go and say, well, we want him to coach, and they're just going to say, okay. This is our guy.
You know what? Now that you mention it, you go right ahead.
Yeah. We had no idea what we were talking about.
They go in and they say, guys, it's McNeese State.
What's he gonna do?
I mean, I guess that's a possibility. I don't know. This is his punishment. I mean,
does anybody come coach here on purpose?
On purpose?
All right.
In this economy?
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll be surprised to see how this one plays out.
It's going to be intriguing. That's a nice move.
You know, it's funny because there was a rumor, and I'm sure it was started by some random internet guy, but there was a rumor that McNeese football was going to hire Jason Garrett at some point. And the first comment under Seth Davis's tweet is same vibes, and it's a picture of Garrett,
Princeton graduate.
Yeah,
Jason Garrett.
So same vibes.
Yeah, exactly.
But who knows? Should be fun. I'm excited to see this one play out. I really am.
Meanwhile, Wayne County has stretched this thing out, man.
Oof, almost 20.
Yeah,
that's not surprising. Let's be honest.
Bidding for an undefeated Class 1A state champ. Oh, goodness.
Intentional foul. Said she pulled her down. May have. I don't know. You guys saw it.
That was an interesting fall for sure. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, we're going to take our first break of the day. Michael Odom is standing by. He's going to join us, sit down here in the hot seat, and we will grill him on what he's been doing over the last 8 months since we talked to him last. So stick around here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. We will be right back after this.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company Technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Welcome back to Murphy Center, live from the Mobile Lee Company studio here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. I'm Chris Yow. He's Mo Patton, and we are glad to be with you. Again, thanks to our sponsors, Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, for making coverage from the Glass House possible this week and next. We'll be back here on Wednesday next week. Wednesday and Thursday. So if you are coming up or over or down or wherever from which you are coming, come say hello. We are in What section are we in?
We are in section
Look
A.
under the Tennessee
We're right up under the Tennessee state flag. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just come see us, say hello. We'd love to have you. And looking forward to another great week of high school hoops. And we continue to talk high school hoops on the show as we welcome in Michael Odom from the MILAN Mirror Exchange, hanging out in Murfreesboro this week. Michael, thanks for coming in, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Michael. You've been busy this week with well, there have been a number of West Tennessee teams up here this week. Now,
11.
11. He knew. Now, I guess at Milan in Gibson County, you're not necessarily covering all of those teams, but you've seen probably all 11 of them at some point this year.
I have, and we had 3 out of Gibson County, and I'm also currently the writer for the Weekly County Press, which has Dresden and Westview. So, so I had 5 of the 11.
So you directly were covering 5 of the 11.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
fun times.
Yeah.
That's where you make the big bucks.
Well,
I'm ready for our new Weekly County writer to get here April 27th.
Oh, congratulations. Okay. Yeah, that's always cause for celebration.
Yeah.
I started my second job in the World newspapers on April 27th, 2010. And it was 2 days after the city of Albertville, Alabama was ravaged by a tornado. So I show up on Monday. They handed me a notepad and a pen and said, "You're going to meet everyone today." So hopefully it'll be as easy for you, because that's right before spring fling. You get to kind of baptized by fire, huh?
Yeah, that guy's going to come in and have to learn it quick, because, I mean, we go from there to what will be in postseason. I told him I'd be here to help him and do what I can, but, you know.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
you got to just do it, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, it'll be fun.
Well, I will tell you this. Sometimes the only way to do it is to just jump right in.
Yeah.
Just jump in the deep end and kind of a sink or swim kind of deal. Hopefully he won't sink. He, she, they. He won't sink. Okay. All right.
Well, you know, you talk about the number of teams. At least 2 of them could potentially play each other, so you don't have to cover a bunch of games tomorrow. Just one.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Gibson County and Westview later. Those should be 2 good ones.
What are you thinking, Mike, about those 2? I mean, they've pretty much been on a collision course all year for this, have they not?
Yeah, I mean, they've played 4 times. Westview's won 3 of the 4 so far. Gibson County got the better of them in the district championship, but you know, they have, both teams have really good athletes and basketball players that are going to be put on display. And Jada Harrison showed that yesterday against York Institute. She's an MTSU signee. She's going to come up here and do some really great things. The work she's put into her body, she's gotten so strong this year, and that's shown. You know, she put the ball on the ground and drove to the rim, and she wasn't scared of contact.
Mitch Wilkins, who we are somewhat familiar with in this area because his son Mark is the coach at Independence boys, who will be playing up here next week. But I got a chance to see them last year when they came to Summertown in the Class 2A section. Excuse me. Solid team. Again, a lot of great athletes, a lot of great basketball players, and he's done a great job for a long time.
Yeah, you know, they're a defense-first team, but they've got some really good shooters. Micah Hart, whose sister was a Miss Basketball finalist last year. Micah came up, scored 33 against Loretto in the Class 2A sectionals this year. She kind of wasn't a big part of the game the other day when they beat Riverside, but, you know, I think she could today, and I think she has to today, if they're going to beat McMinn Central, because McMinn Central seems to have lots of shooters, lots of athletes. They're very deep in that area. So I think Mike is going to have to step up her game, and she has the potential to do that like she did against Loretto.
You just missed an all-West Tennessee final in 3A because Jackson Southside survived Elizabethton yesterday in double overtime. And South Green falls to Livingston. Katie Embry, she's really had some great moments, but they've not happened here. And tough loss to Loretto in the state finals a few years back after they had beaten Loretto, 3 times?
No, they'd beaten them 5 times. That was the sixth meeting between them.
Okay. And another tough one here yesterday with her Hornets losing to Livingston, 50-36. So again, just missed out on another all West Tennessee matchup.
But I think getting up here was a big accomplishment for that team.
Okay.
First time ever making it. I thought they played well against Livingston. They've got a couple girls that have hit ruts here in the postseason. Let's just be honest. Didn't shoot the ball well, but I think getting up here, that was a big step forward, and it definitely established a culture at South Gibson of this is the new expectation. We want to get to the glass house, and that's something the players talked about in the media room after the game. Yes, this is great. We made the semifinals, but we want to do this next year and try and get to the next game.
Yeah, you want to make that, like you said, you want to make it an expectation. You want to make it what you're supposed to do. We've seen a lot of that over the course of this tournament. We had Joseph Simmons, the what year is he? First year coach at Green Hill?
I think it's his second year there. I think he was the first coach there.
No,
he wasn't. Then it has to be his first year.
Yeah. Yes. Green Hill gets here for the first time. This is the 3rd year of the school, and he spoke about that as well, kind of setting that tone, creating that culture that, this is the expectation. So South Gibson gets here for, how old is that school? Not very.
2005 or 6.
So, like you said, pretty impressive for them to get up here and start creating that expectation again.
Yeah, they had a team, I want to say 2016, 17, made sectionals, lost to Jamira Schutz at Haywood. She came up here and did a couple years later. That was her sophomore year. That was their first trip up here. But that was one group of girls, and now I think Katie's wanting it to be, this is the expectation. Every year we want another group of girls graduating from the 8th grade, coming up as freshmen, ready to contribute.
Speaking with Michael Odom here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bond and Joint, as Wayne County has defeated Hampton to advance to the Class 1A state finals. 61-43, I think was the final, but they got
61-39.
39, okay. Well, they got it off there pretty quick. I was trying to read it, and then I couldn't get it fast enough. But, as you get ready, and we talked about this with Noah McKay yesterday, I want to get your opinion, Michael. This atmosphere, even in the smaller classifications, it's just really hard to beat a place like this for state finals.
Yeah, people have brought up moving it here and there, but you don't want to downgrade facilities, and this is a great facility to have this in. There's great student sections, a great spot for student sections, and we've had some great ones throughout this week that have come up here and cheered their teams on, and it's a special atmosphere. People put on Twitter, why don't we come to Memphis, or put it in Chattanooga, or put it in Knoxville. It's hard to do that because of the atmosphere that to replicate that atmosphere there that you can feel here.
And again, as we talked over the last few days, when you talk about high school basketball in this state, everybody talks about getting to the glass house. It's like, in college baseball, everybody talks about getting to Omaha. It's unmistakable what this facility means to high school basketball in Tennessee. And I don't think it's as simple as just take it somewhere else. Just like you said, for the tradition that's involved with it, for the atmosphere that you get when you get here, pretty much regardless of who the teams are. So I don't know. I'm not sure how much moving it fixes, if anything.
No question.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we're getting ready for Van Buren and McKenzie here, and this is another opportunity for two teams, obviously west of Middle Tennessee. Wayne County's in the fringe, right? They're on the river, close, right there nearby. So, but it's interesting to me because West Tennessee basketball outside of Upper Cumberland is kind of that's where the really good girls basketball teams seem to live, those two spots. And I just wonder, and we talked about it with Lawrence County, what's in the water? What's in the river out there that makes these great girls basketball teams, because it seems like there are a lot of schools that expect to be here every year from that area.
Yeah, I mean, that's the expectation. Girls basketball, I mean, I remember even when I was in high school with the great Northside teams that came up here, and, Gleason and Bradford, it was always that's what girls grew up wanting to do. They, from a young age, they started basketball, and, their goal was to bring their team up here and try and win a gold ball. And so that's just, I guess it's in them from birth. It's just a natural thing in West Tennessee that this girls basketball is reigns supreme.
It really does, and they've really done a great job of it. It's funny, you mentioned Gleason and Bradford, and I immediately thought of Ashley McElhaney and Michelle Street. I mean, those are some great teams, and there have been some great players at a lot of those, particularly at the smaller schools in West Tennessee. There seem to be more 1A and 2A schools out there, and they particularly seem to take a lot of pride in those programs.
Yeah, and that's, that was, last year you saw in the semifinals in 1A, 3 of the 4 schools were West Tennessee: Gleason, Dresden, and McKenzie.
Enough said. Yeah, and this McKenzie team, I don't know if flown under the radar is the right phrase for them, but I don't think you've heard as much about them as maybe a Hampton or a Wayne County or some of these other teams. Tell us about these Lady Rebels.
Yeah, there's 2 reasons they've flown under the radar. One is in Game 5 of the season, Savannah Davis, the Miss Basketball winner from last year. She's an MTSU commitment right now. She hurt her finger. She was going up for a rebound against Westview and jammed it coming down on a hip. It was a weird injury. It was a spiral fracture of a knuckle. And so she was out for 14 games. And he put together a schedule saying, we're the state champions and we want to defend that. And we're not scared of anybody. Played Southside twice, played Gibson County twice, played Huntington twice, played Westview once, played Clarksville. He wasn't scared to go play anybody. But when he takes Savannah Davis off that team, it's a lot different. Kylie Reynolds, though, stepped up. That's why she's a Miss Basketball finalist this year. She stepped in that spot while Savannah was out. Yes, they didn't beat Southside and couldn't beat some of those teams, but I think it made them better. And while they have 7 losses, I believe, they're still right here in a spot to win another state title. And at the end of the day, if you bring home the gold ball, whether it's 7 losses or no losses, it's still a gold ball.
Or 17 losses. Yeah, absolutely. Michael Odom of the MILAN Mirror Exchange with us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, as we come to you from Murphy Center, the Glass House. McKenzie and Van Buren County getting ready for a Class 1A state semifinal. McKenzie got here with a win over yet another West Tennessee team, defeating Peabody in the quarterfinals out of Trenton. So just more West Tennessee flavor.
Yeah, Peabody, they had a great season. Made a run. 2 years ago they were up here and lost 4 starters, and they're able to reload. Next year, Trenton, though, goes in the same district as Gibson County and Westview, so a little tougher competition.
Oh, so somebody's not going to get here.
Yes.
That's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
that'd be interesting.
Yes, it will.
Well, and their region is Riverside and Scotts Hill, who are both up here. So that's 5.
So you're going to have a region that's got 5 state tournament participants from this past year.
Yes.
That's brutal. That is brutal.
Man.
Well, Michael, we appreciate you taking some time with us today here. Murfreesboro it's a lot of fun, a lot of basketball. We'll let you go watch some more.
Now, what does your week next week look like?
I'm not as busy next week. Well, I'm not as busy here next week because we got spring sports starting. My daughter's got 8th grade night volleyball, so I got to walk her out on the court on Tuesday. I won't be up here for Tuesday's basketball action, but I'll be here Wednesday with the Humboldt Vikings. Coach Ron Abernathy's got his boys back up here, and that was a big feat for them this year. Last year they didn't make the region for like the first time like 20 years. But they could turn around and Ron Abernathy and those Vikings are back up here, led by Stefan Shivers, who's gotten Power 5, football offers as a lineman. So
as a lineman,
yes, he's 6'5", about
should be
280.
tough to stop on the block.
6'5", 280,
something like that.
That ought to be fun.
Maybe a 6'3".
Yeah.
Either way, you're going to have a tough time stopping him on the block.
Yeah. Wow. That should be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, they play Hampton.
So, wait a minute. Your daughter's got 8th grade volleyball. They play during the winter down there?
Yes. Middle school volleyball is during the winter, spring. It's January, February, and March.
So that the varsity coaches can coach the middle school?
Exactly.
Makes
I don't
sense.
like it, though, because she also plays club volleyball. So for the past 2 months, she's
every
had
weekend, every day.
Every day. She's had like 15, 16 days in a row of nothing but volleyball. And it's worn her out. Other than when she got
worn you out.
It's worn me out, too. Other than when she got a concussion and got to sit out for 7 days.
Oh.
Well, we went through concussion protocol.
There you go. Well,
in volleyball. You got to watch out.
It's like when Nick hit his head in a wrestling tournament his 8th grade year. I said he's no dizzier than he usually is. So, we're good.
She got hit in the head with a volleyball on a serve, and coach said, "Are you okay?" She said, "Yeah." Then she came over to me after the match and said, "I was seeing double." I was like, "Well, you probably should have told your coach."
Double is bad. Triple, you can just hit the ball in the middle and you're okay. But double, you're kind of lost out there.
There you go.
Michael ODOM of the MILAN Mirror Exchange joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Michael, thank you for your time, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next week. You and what was the kid's name again? The Humboldt kid?
Stefan Shivers.
Stefan Shivers. That's a football name if you ever heard one. We'll be looking out for both of you guys. Yeah.
You won't miss Stefan.
I don't think so.
No, he's a big guy.
Look for the big guy on the block. Yeah. Hey, man, thanks.
No problem.
All right.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk college hoops and much more right here on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Stick around.
In Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, to the Lee Company studio on the road here at Murphy Center at the Blue Cross Basketball Championships in Murfreesboro at historic Murphy Center. Thank you.
Announce your presence with authority.
My God, that's Justin Kulick's music, right?
Live at the Murphy Center. I have the question of the day for y'all. Are you ready?
Let's go.
All right. Question of the day. Which one's worse?
This is bad. Hey, the good thing is that Tennessee apparently is the hat team.
Yeah, it's always
the unified
Tennessee.
team.
Yep,
There you go.
it's always Tennessee.
Now, this guy on the left here during the Tennessee game wearing the Star V from Vandy, he said his wife went to Vanderbilt. And so that's why he was wearing the Vandy shirt, but he'd always been a Tennessee fan.
Yeah, did we get any interview with the guy on the right?
I don't know, because the guy or the person to his left, the one to his left is wearing UT stuff, but the person
to her left
was wearing UK stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised he wasn't in the middle.
Would seem he'd be kind of the unifier,
Right,
as
you would
say,
think.
yeah,
The mediator.
yeah, exactly.
He's just like, I hope both teams have fun.
Yeah.
My thing is, yeah, exactly. Like my thing on the guy on the left looks like he might have accidentally stepped out of the house like that. The guy on the right knew what he was doing.
Oh, he absolutely knew. Yeah, it's like the guy on the left's like, oh,
my bad.
Whoa,
Yeah.
did I do this? Yeah,
Silly me.
What you don't know, Justin, is this right here. That's the guy. Look at his shirt.
Oh my
It's
god.
Tennessee Tech. What?
All right, this guy's confused.
Either that or he just likes everybody, and I'm okay with that.
He's just huge Tennessee sports fan.
Yes.
I'm okay with that.
Me too.
We just need to get him a TriStar hat. Like
There
I
we
have.
go.
Exactly.
He just needs a TriStar hat in various different colors.
Right.
Yeah.
You
So he
know,
doesn't get
orange
confused.
and white, black and gold,
Any color
purple
he
and
wants.
gold,
Blue
maybe
and
a little blue
orange.
and white,
Blue and orange.
blue and orange. There you go. Little everything.
I think that works for him.
Yeah.
As far as which one's worse,
Speaking of TriStars,
I don't know which one's worse.
I think the Tennessee-Kentucky is worse.
Just
I do
seems
too.
so
Depending on
Especially at
where
the
he's
basketball.
from.
right.
Well, yeah, there's that.
No, I mean, because personally, I like to see both Vanderbilt and Tennessee be successful.
So do I.
And I don't have any issues with Vanderbilt. I don't have any issues with Tennessee.
You don't have any issues with their coach anymore.
Not anymore. I never had any issues with their coach. he had issues with me,
apparently.
But yeah. So I think the Tennessee-Kentucky thing is certainly harder to explain.
Seems more deliberate, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So
I would agree. Anyway. All right. Well,
that's a great question of the day, though. I like that.
That was the question of the day.
I think we should put up a poll on that. Which is worse?
That's a good idea. We'll do it.
We'll get a poll up on Twitter here in just a minute.
Yep.
And ask you guys which one is worse. SEC basketball tournament is still underway. Conference USA tournament underway. We told you in the rundown that Middle Tennessee State came up just a hair shy of upsetting Florida Atlantic in the semifinals and making their way to the CUSA championship game. Mo, we listened to that game, it just felt like Middle Tennessee State had every opportunity. They had the ball with 12 seconds to go. They got it to their most experienced player. They're over the last 4 years, easily their best player, DeAndre Dishman. He had 2 opportunities at it. You couldn't ask for a better chance. They just weren't able to put it in.
Yeah, I think it was one of those situations where they got it to their best player, but at the same time, I think Florida Atlantic pretty well knew where it was coming too.
Oh yeah.
And so they aren't 28-3 or whatever it is that they are for nothing. So, I mean, a great effort by Middle Tennessee State after getting down 32-18 at one point, to battle back and give themselves a chance to win it in the last 15 seconds or so. I certainly hate to see it go the way it did, but again, for where they came from, to have a chance there, you can't be too disappointed.
Not at all.
Against a top 25 team. Are they ranked again? Did they get back in?
Yeah, they're still ranked.
Okay. So, so now we wait for the women.
That's right. And as you see on your screen there, Middle and UTEP, co-coaches of the year, going at it this afternoon at 4:30 in Frisco, Texas. You can see it on ESPN Plus. That'll be a good one.
It will be a good one, and we just saw that game last Saturday.
You saw
literally, it. Yeah. UTEP forces overtime before Middle wins it 72-68 right here on this floor. So, and UTEP beat Middle in Texas. One of their 2 losses on that Texas swing. They lost at
GSA as well.
I don't remember which was first, but I think they lost at UTEP and then they lost at San Antonio and haven't lost since.
That's right. So, Middle is on a roll, and you hope that can continue tonight or this afternoon, I guess.
Yeah.
And against UTEP, the 4 seed there. Middle, obviously, the 1.
Yeah.
SEC tournament last night after Tennessee struggled a little bit, tied at halftime with Ole Miss. The legs started to go a little bit for the Rebs, and Tennessee pulled away late, was able to get a big win. Vanderbilt, last night, after some finagling and engineering, I was able to get it up on the TV at the hotel. And, LSU, kind of like Ole Miss, just the legs started to go in the second half.
Yeah. And Vanderbilt, kept the pressure on them and finally came out with the 77-68 victory. But, man, I tell you, this Vanderbilt team, the way they're playing right now, the way they're getting offense from so many different places, I don't think you want to see them on the other end of the floor right now. And that's Kentucky's dilemma right now.
Yeah, you feel like Kentucky probably feels like it wants a chance at revenge after that loss at Rupp Arena.
Be careful what you wish for.
But again, you still have to, you've got to play that 40 minutes a second time, and it's not easy. And I think that's where, obviously Tennessee's leading Missouri right now 12-9, but you can't, you feel like if Tennessee's going to have a chance, they're going to have to build a little bit of a lead that can withstand a flurry in the second half from Missouri. So Vanderbilt gets a win tonight, makes it to the semifinals where they would play the winner of Arkansas and
A&M.
Number 2 seed A&M. Jerry Palm, friend of the show, put out his bubble watch today and said that Clemson and Vanderbilt still basically had a lot of work to do. I don't know how Clemson's even in the conversation, but that's neither here nor there.
I don't think Vanderbilt has as much work to do necessarily as – well, I think some stuff has to happen around Vanderbilt probably, and I get that.
Sure.
Because they put themselves in this position. But I don't think Vanderbilt is as far away. I don't think Vanderbilt should be as far away as some folks are trying to make it sound.
No, and I want to go through that Vanderbilt schedule because I went through it last night. And the more I look at this schedule, the more I go, this team is really not that far away. It's a 9-point loss against Memphis. Now, the Southern Miss loss looks bad, but they won the regular season. They won the Sun Belt regular season. They were the AQ up until the tournament. Now, then they lost the tournament. They lost in the tournament. But same thing with the loss to Grambling. Grambling won the SWAC. St. Mary's, it was 10 points. VCU, that's a tournament team. They lost by 5 on the road. They beat Pittsburgh, who a lot of people are saying are in the tournament. And Pittsburgh's resume versus Vanderbilt's is almost identical.
They lost to North Carolina State. Aren't they still playing?
4 points. They lost by 4 points to NC State, who is in the tournament. It just, to me, they don't have the bad losses aren't really that bad. Especially when you consider the situation that you have to consider that they were in. They were in the situation that they had 4 brand new guys coming in trying to fill out roles, and they had to figure it out.
And again, they have won, as you said last night, they've won 9 of their last 10, and they've beaten all 9 of those opponents.
That's right.
Because the one loss was
games.
LSU, and they just took care of that last night. I mean, the way you're playing coming down the stretch has to mean something.
Well, Providence and Vanderbilt are the complete opposites. And we talk about this in preseason rankings. If you start high, you have a
little bit more leeway.
If you start low, you got to work harder. And that's exactly what happened. Providence had a great first half of the season, and now they're playing. They're bad right now. They're just not very good. And instead, we're talking about Providence is definitely in, despite how badly they've played over the last 6 weeks. Meanwhile, Vanderbilt is definitely out, and
despite how well they've played.
So I mean,
for more than the last couple of weeks.
And this is what I've told. It's exactly what I told you, man. I could not be a bracketologist because I would just be angry at the end of the day. Because I would sit there and go, I know what the committee's going to do, and that just makes me mad.
Right.
Because that's not how it should work.
Yeah, and I wonder a lot of times if these bracketologists are looking at what the committee is going to do, or if they're looking at what the committee should do.
No, their job is to tell you what the committee's going to do. Who's going to be in the
bracket? Yeah,
that's their job,
and it's unfortunate.
It is, because I think if more bracketologists did what they should do, that the committee.
I don't think the committee's going to listen to anybody.
No, but if all the bracketologists are out here saying, Vanderbilt should be on the bubble, solidly on the bubble, then it'd be really hard for the committee to say, nah, they're not even close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sunday's going to be interesting.
Sunday is going to be interesting. Tonight is going to be interesting. I mean, if Vanderbilt wins this game again.
A Vanderbilt team in the SEC semifinals, having won 10 of their last 11.
With 2 wins over Kentucky.
Neither of them at home.
Neither of them at home.
You're going to have a tough time selling a lot of folks on the idea that that's not an NCAA tournament team.
It would make it real difficult. There's no question. We didn't talk about this off the top. Patrick Ewing. He is.
We talked about it a little bit earlier this week, maybe yesterday. I don't remember, but
Patrick Ewing is doing nothing outstanding while he's now outstanding outside of the Georgetown facilities with a white box. And that's
what's it like when you have to fire your legend?
I guess we have someone to ask now.
Well, I'm not asking him. He's still 6'10" or whatever.
No. Oh. Georgetown.
Oh. Yeah. But I mean, he's been nothing but gracious throughout this. I mean, all of the comments that he has made in the aftermath of his dismissal, he's really, I almost said let him off, but I mean, that headline that we just saw, 13-50 over the last 2 seasons, it's not like he had a whole lot of a leg to stand on.
Again, I didn't get it done.
Yeah. And that happens.
And sometimes, and that's exactly what you want to see from a coach. You want to hear that from a coach. I didn't get it done. We didn't get it done as a program. I'm the leader of this program. Therefore, it stops with me.
Yep.
And kudos to Patrick. Hopefully he will continue to support that program in any way that he can. I'm sure he will.
No question.
And you know, it's tough that that Pat didn't really get a chance to. I mean, like you said, 6 seasons, 75, 109. You feel like he had every opportunity to rejuvenate that program. Wasn't able to do it.
Just didn't.
Don't know what the reason is for that. Other than also not the only team, by the way, in DC to dismiss their coach yesterday. American does not have a coach. So maybe it's just DC, man.
I think it's more the Big East.
It could be.
I think the shifting of the Big East with a lot of those teams, those traditional Big East teams that went to the ACC and that kind of thing, I think it probably impacted recruiting across that conference.
It's hard to say, hey, do you want to go play in Iowa? And go.
Yeah, I mean,
travel all the way to Iowa to play Creighton? No, I don't.
All right.
As a matter of fact, Coach, I would much rather, be in the ACC where I can go play it against Florida State.
But I think it's also, if you ask Jim Boeheim and some of those folks, I'd imagine it's also impacted them because they're going down to Florida State and Miami and playing instead of playing, Villanova and St. John's.
Yeah.
So it's different.
It is, and that's just the way of the college sporting world at this point with realignment, and then it's not been much different since realignment started. I would say with the Big East leaving football, it's all been kind of crazy. And again, St. John's apparently is.
Yeah, it seems like they're going to be in the market for a coach too. Although I don't know what the expectations were for Mike Anderson, but apparently they were greater than whatever they turned in.
Oh man, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be the best weekend of college basketball. There's nothing like championship weekend, semifinals on Saturday, championships on Sunday. Conference USA specifically, North Texas and UAB tonight. That's going to be an absolute dogfight. And I if you're North Texas and UAB, you're saying thank you, Middle Tennessee State, for forcing Florida Atlantic to have to fight. They had to play 40 minutes. They had to play 40 minutes. They didn't get a break. You're saying thank you to Middle for that. And I think tonight's going to be the same way.
Yeah, I mean, you remember that semifinal that UAB and Middle played last year that went 3 overtimes before it got over with. I mean, those teams really push each other to the brink, and Middle might not have beaten FAU today, but they may tomorrow because that North Texas UAB game. Whoever comes out of that's going to be feeling really good about themselves. And like you said, really good about the fact that FAU really got pushed. There might be an upset looming in Frisco in that one.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. All right, let's take a break because Noah McKay is standing by. So stick around here on Main Street Sports Today, live from the Mobile League Company studio at Murphy Center. This is Main Street Sports Day presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Be right back after this.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Welcome back to Murphy Center, site of the Blue Cross Basketball Championships. Chris Yow, Mo Patton here with you on this beautiful Friday as we are getting you ready for the weekend ahead in all of sports, from preps to pros. We've got you covered here on Main Street Sports today. Again, we are in the Mobile Lee Company studio, and we appreciate their support, as well as Jones & Lang Sporting Goods for making our coverage from Murfreesboro possible. Don't forget to scan that QR code on your screen and visit leecompany.com. We are now talking a little more high school hoops as we go to, for the second day in a row, he might as well, he's basically just a co-host at this point. It's Noah McKay joining us here with his,
you could do better. You know, somewhere in between the two. There you go.
With the perfect hat for the day. Got to give him props on the script A.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's solid. That's solid. Noah, we were talking off air just a second ago. I don't know that you guys claim Van Buren County necessarily, but this is a team in the state semifinals that not a whole lot of folks expect it to be in the tournament field at all.
Certainly right. We cover 17 schools. Van Buren is the 18th. They're right just south of our coverage area, but
they play a lot of people
they
that y'all do
and if you
cover,
ever, and their
probably.
district unfortunately goes south, so it goes further away from us. But if you've ever been to Spencer, there's not a whole lot in Spencer. So when they make when they've got something noteworthy going on, we're the ones that go down there and cover it. And of course, when they're here, we do the same, because if we didn't, nobody else would. And you know what? There's a lot of really good folks in Spencer. They got a good basketball team, so somebody's going to talk about them, and might as well be us.
Might as well be you.
Well, I will tell you, my only encounter with Spencer was I went through there in the middle of the night once, going down Highway 111, I think it is, from Cookeville to Chattanooga. I had been up at the Blue Cross Bowl. My son Nick was wrestling in a tournament that weekend down at Soddy Daisy, and that was the most direct way to get from Cookeville to Chattanooga.
Yep.
And I was not very comfortable with that drive in the middle of the night, literally. So, that's my only experience with Van Buren County and Spencer. But
more than anything else, don't speed going through Spencer, because if you're going 2 miles an hour over, it's well known you're going to get a ticket.
Oh,
especially if you got an out of county plate. Now, great folks in Spencer, I love them, but if you're speeding,
they're going to get you.
They're going to get you.
Okay, well,
remember that one.
I heeded that, and got where I was going, and everything was fine. But I I don't know if it was the last time Van Buren was here or not, but I saw them in a previous state tournament appearance when they had Lakeland Bolden. I think she was a senior that year, had signed with UTC or signed with UTC soon thereafter. But so they're not necessarily not used to being here.
No, they're not. This is actually their second straight year being here. Lakeland's senior season, I believe, was 2016, 2017, in that range. And her younger sister, Layla's out here on the floor by just the superstar of the team for Van Buren. But, Tyler Sapp, who's the coach, not a lot of people know him. He's done a very, very good job. He has years where he's got 8th graders playing. Layla was one of those 3 years ago. She was an 8th grader playing, and he's just a really good coach. And as we kind of talked about yesterday, Upper Cumberland Hoops is not for the faint of heart, and they've been one of the teams that's been able to kind of rise to the top. And they started this rise before the reclassifications, and they were in the district with Clark Range and Pickett County and Clay County, and they were able to still kind of build this program. So does a really good job, and he's a name that is a very young coach, and it's one of those where I'm sure he would love to stay at Van Buren County a long time, but he could springboard to a bigger school, and everyone will learn the name Tyler Sapp.
It's interesting because they're in a situation here where we just talked with Michael Odom, who this McKenzie team has last year's Miss Basketball and a different girl who is a finalist for Miss Basketball this year in Class 1A. That can't be easy. That makes it a little tougher.
Well, it makes it tougher for everybody else because certainly you got to try to figure out who you're going to deal with, who you're going to focus on.
Pick your poison
from a defensive standpoint. But yeah, McKenzie looks like they're right on the verge of really putting this thing out of reach, but Van Buren is making it tough on them. 35-22.
This game's interesting because, McKenzie got out to that 10-0 lead using that pressure, and Van Buren's did a nice job adjusting to it. But you're down 13 points against a team that's probably got 3 more high-level athletes than you do. Good luck. And
Yeah,
we'll
good
see
luck.
what they can do, but good luck.
Speaking of, you can't make passes like that either.
Certainly not.
Unless they make passes like that. Livingston.
Yes. Hawkeye.
Back in the Saturday game here.
Back in the Saturday. How about Leslie Riddle, the job she's done? That was a big win for them yesterday. And we looked at when that bracket came out, guys, we kind of and it's turned out to be true. Said, I expect Livingston to be in that Saturday game, and it's bared out to be that way. The first quarter against Greenville gave us a little pause in that, but I think they were clearly the best team in the top half of the bracket. And we said whoever won the Southside Upperman game is going to be the other team. We got Southside Livingston. Now, for my perspective, I would have loved Upperman Livingston around 5. That would have been pretty good in our world. But I'll tell you, this Southside Livingston matchup, very interesting because it's a different matchup for Southside than the first 2 matchups that they've had in this tournament.
And we just said it when it involved Middle and Florida Atlantic. Elizabeth them pushed Southside to the brink. They made them play an extra 8 minutes. That can be a difference here when you're talking about 3 games in 4 days.
It can be.
Now, I think the flip side of that, though, is it was Thursday, Saturday instead of Friday, Saturday.
Sure.
And I think that's going to make a little bit of a difference.
I definitely think we'll make a little bit, but it's still 3 games in 4 days.
I'm really curious about Southside because I got the impression first quarter came out like they had won their Super Bowl. Like all year they've been talking about Upperman because Upperman beat them in the title game. They beat Upperman, and then they thought, and subliminally, Coach McNeil's not thinking that. He's a great coach, but it's 15-year-old in your mind, hey, we knocked off Big Bad Wolf. We're going to cruise here. And Elizabethton had something to say about it, and they were able to turn it on that second half and win the basketball game. But, again, it's a Livingston team that's also beaten Upperman this year. It's a Livingston team that's beaten Cookeville this year. They're a team that's, unlike Upperman, got 2 versatile bigs, 2 6-feet-plus girls who can handle the basketball. We're talking about Southside's pressure. Leslie Riddle can go to a lineup with 4 ball handlers, really 5 ball handlers on the floor at once. And so that's going to be really intriguing to see. And Livingston plays a matchup zone, which, unless you've played it before, it confuses the daylight out of things. It really does.
Noah McKay of the Upper Cumberland Reporter joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We talked about all the teams that you all had up here this week. One of them kind of ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw earlier this morning, Cookeville falling to Bradley Central. Do you feel like that was too much Bradley, not enough Cookville, a little bit of both? What was your read on that?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of both. Bradley Central looked very good. Don't think you can talk about that game without Bradley Central just looked really good. And then you start realizing, oh, that's a freshman and that's a sophomore and that's a freshman. Oh, okay, they're going to be a problem for a long time. Secondly, Cookville going 2 of 16 from three-point land. That's unheard of. That's a team that shoots. And even in this gym, everybody saw it on Wednesday. They shot the lights out against Blackman, and that was certainly a big factor. And then to me, the biggest decider in the game was Bradley Central doubled up Cookville on the boards, 34-17 in that rebounding department. And so I thought, number one, Bradley Central was very good. I think Cookville did not play their best game today. And I think Coach Gillis, who is a very, very good coach, we talked about her a little bit yesterday, I think they will wish they had a slightly different game plan early in that game. It was a lot of off the dribble, let's one screen, drive in the lane, and throw up a shot, and they didn't make any of them. And they blinked, and they were down 10-plus points. And you guys have seen enough games here to know. You get in that hole early on against a team like Bradley Central, right? Second half, the team's tied. Second half doesn't matter when you're down 10 points at the break.
Right.
So that's or 17 points at the break, not 10 points at the break. And that was confluence of event. I think if those teams play 10 times, Bradley Central probably wins 6 or 7 of them. And today was just a really good storm for Bradley Central.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, getting down early to Bradley Central, because what you saw in the second half was a team that didn't mind being patient on offense. Right. And they would run 30 and 40 seconds off. I sat here and said to Chris, I said, I wonder how Reuter feels about the shot clock now, and then after they ran the time down, then they convert in the lane. I mean, when it's kind of the best of both worlds, when you can be patient like that, get the shots you want and score and keep the pressure on.
And Cookville have been able to run through a lot of teams this year with their lack of size not becoming a factor. They're long, but they're not very big. Their post, a good post, Isabel Garcia, she's a junior, and she's about 5'10". And Bradley Central came in and just muscled them around. They ran that screen and roll over and over again and just got into that low block and finished at the rim. And Cookville didn't finish, as Jamie Gillis said post-game. It's not like they didn't just shoot the ball well. They didn't shoot layups well. They didn't shoot free throws well. They didn't shoot anything well.
They didn't shoot well.
Exactly right, well, period.
You mentioned it, Mo, about that not going to the rim with the ball. They were shooting everything falling away.
Absolutely.
And that's a problem when you're not big enough to be inside. You kind of feel like you have to do that, and it wasn't a great ending.
I think it was just a bad matchup.
Yep, Bradley is a good matchup for Cookville,
and that was and I watched a lot of Cookville this year. It's probably the worst Cookville's looked. And again, that's not just to say a lot of it's matchup based. Bradley did it to them. Sure. That was the worst Cookville's looked probably since game 1 when Blackman just beat the brakes off of them in Murfreesboro. It was a 27-point game or something like that, and we all left and went, well, Cookville had fun last year. That'll be great. We don't have to worry about Cookville. And nope, they turned it around, and credit to them. The freshmen played really well, and they'll be, back in the conversation moving forward. But it was not a good morning for the Cookville Lady Cavaliers today. And again, like how many freshmen and sophomore on Bradley Central's team? I mean, I can't imagine they're not going to be here every single year.
Yeah, it's like you said, they're going to be a problem for a while because the one post player, Harmony
Ware. She's good. She's
remember
really
the name.
Good. She's really good.
And let me say this when I say that. I think I said the same thing when Ron Howard came up here as a freshman. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Well, one team that is not playing today that probably should be is York Institute.
We're going to go there?
I want to ask you because we left because we were just so excited for crawfish. And what was so crazy?
The crawfish
my invite got lost in the email. I'm sorry. I did.
And
the crawfish.
You couldn't have come anyway because you were.
I got guys. They'll figure it out. Crawfish.
We'll talk after
next
week.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, here's what we were kind of watching the game, and it just felt like Westview would take it to 10 or 12. And then York would storm back and make it close. And then you get to the end of the ball game. It just felt like that was not the way that game should have ended, with a questionable call.
Questionable at best.
Terrible call. Terrible.
Well, I'm
So
gonna.
there you go. I've got 3 takeaways. Okay, and they're all quick. One is controversial. The other 2 I don't think are. One, you can't get in a double-digit hole against Westview.
There you go.
Just against anybody. Period. Number 2, a different officiating crew. The game is at least going to overtime, and York Institute may have won. There's no doubt because the last call, it was just a terrible call. There was no contact created by Reese Beatty. She got a clean block at the top. York should have had a shot to win it with 6 seconds to go. There's no doubt about it. I mean, nobody with even a slightly objective opinion on it. And you guys, I got work today. I got to work tomorrow anyway. Team loses, I don't lose any sleep. I go home and eat a snack. That's it. And so there's that. And 3, the controversial one, I watched him play. I think York's probably a better team than Westview. Really do. I think you throw them out there, just let the basketball teams decide it. York's probably about 4 or 5 points better, just top to bottom. Now, that doesn't mean Jada Harrison isn't sensational. Doesn't mean that Westview's not going to probably beat Community and win the title tomorrow. Great basketball team, doesn't take anything away from them. But all the things that happened in that game, I think all 3 of those things can be true. And you know how people are on social media. It's either cut and dry.
Yeah.
If you say that
no gray.
if York shouldn't have gotten in a big hole, absolutely right. They would have won if they didn't start slow. You're correct. If you say York probably wins with a different officiating crew, you're also correct. And both can be true at the same time.
They're not mutually exclusive.
But
No,
just
they're not.
Look, guys, this is the state tournament. This is the state tournament. And these officials are calling a lot of games. And there are 2 officials in this tournament who have done a bad job in every game they've officiated. And it's that simple. They have missed obvious things. They've missed not so obvious things. And it's my opinion, and I think it's the correct one, which is why I'm saying it. But I think that those and this time of year, if you don't have the best of the best, and I know a lot of officials who are really good that aren't here this week, there's a problem with that situation.
Well, and this is what I said during dinner yesterday. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number 1, it's 10 o'clock on a Wednesday.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's the number 1 thing. Who can be here?
Right.
That's the first.
Not a full-time job.
You got to check that off the list.
Yep.
Okay. That's number 1 off the top. Who can be in the building? That's very important information. Number 2, it's these folks who are at state camp, and the assigners and evaluators know their name and they know their face, and so those are the ones that are getting evaluated. If maybe they don't see you during the year, but they saw you at camp and they know that this was your evaluation at camp. And number 3, it's not about the calls.
It's not.
It's never. Yep. They don't care what the call is as long as you are correct in your mechanics making the call.
Well, and and I tweeted this yesterday before the last play happened. What made me more, perturbed at the refs than anything was not the judgment call. Even in the referee who made the call in the last one, look, he's way out of position and he makes a bad call. The judgment call, he thought there's body contact or contact on the shot. It's fine. He's wrong, but it's fine. What I'm not okay with is I'm sitting 5 feet away and see Emmy Crabtree's foot come down with 4 inches of hardwood in between that and the line, and the official stops the play and calls it out of bounds and go the other way. That's not a judgment call. Her foot's not on the line. What are we doing here? That's what's insane.
Happened in the Hampton game just a minute ago.
And it can't. That cannot happen in a state tournament. Because what happens? Who won that game? Westview by 2. That call happens. Westview goes down and makes a layup.
There you go. That's 4-point swing.
Right there. At the very least, it's 2. The very least, it's 2 because it led to 2 direct points for Westview.
Yep.
And that's literally the difference on the scoreboard. Take out everything else, even that final play. You take it all away, that's to tie the game and not to win it. Those are the ones that you just got to have in a state tournament. You just got to have.
And I don't disagree with you. And one of the, Mo and I talk about this because we put the stripes on.
Right.
Every weekend.
Yep.
We're out there now. Yeah, it's rec ball. But we're still out there.
And the crowd doesn't care
if
it's rec ball or not.
They don't care.
No, they don't.
Because, and this is what you're taught, it doesn't matter what game you're officiating. It's the most important that game that day for those kids.
Right.
Whether it's high school, pro, or first graders.
And, and there's a responsibility for us as journalists to not just – everybody who's ever lost a game has lost the game because of the refs.
It's never happened.
Okay? And I've got a saying on air that I say because our comment section will go crazy and I'm calling a game and I go, guys, this isn't a ref game. which is where you can legitimately sit here and say the result would be different if it's officiated differently. This isn't a ref game, guys. And I say it a whole bunch of times, and it's rare when I'll come out and, tweet something publicly about the officials. But if we're in a state tournament and I'm looking right, and I'm with my two eyes
and the camera
looking right at something, okay, now you're going to open yourself up a little bit.
Yeah,
but there's a balance to it.
Sure.
You didn't lose because of the refs. You lost because you didn't make 23 pointers or whatever the instant was in the game. So there's balance to it.
That being said, great state tournament.
Awesome games.
And we've had some really good ones, this one notwithstanding. 45-27.
But you know
McKenzie,
what?
Van
I
Buren.
mean, Van Buren has done some good things in this first half because it could be a lot worse.
As long as that first quarter was, the second quarter was just as short. It was like that. I mean,
well, and it's interesting. You guys, I can hear you guys today. Communities, I'm sure they're about to roll in here. The entire town and all of the neighboring communities and every holler in the backwoods is coming in to watch community here in about an hour.
All of rural Bedford County will be here.
I'm reminded of Patrick Swayze and Next of Kin. You ain't seen bad, but it's coming. With this community group, they're going to roll in here. It's Friday too.
How about that environment earlier today? I mean, I pulled in at 11. Game starts at 11:30. There was one spot left in the media lot. I mean, this place was.
It was, and it was very unfortunate, the situation that we found ourselves in listening to one of the student sections from Bradley Central. It was rough. If you're a student section and you're coming to Murphy Center,
cheer for your team.
For your team. Be there for your team. We don't want to hear the taunting. I mean, you're going to hear the na, hey, goodbye. You're going to hear that. That's fine, whatever. But don't let that be your entire cheer section.
I have sat in front of that student section multiple times, but this week twice. And I've sat in a whole bunch. You guys say, man, I'm down there. We're here all day, every day, it seems like. And the things I heard this morning, and I'm all about, you can't do that way, all that.
That's fine.
The personal, way out of bounds from, things that had me about to walk down to the table and say, hey, T-Bus-AA, something needs to happen here because the things that are being said are way out of bounds. And quite frankly, it's been one student section. Now, you always hear a little. You'll hear one, and then a lot of times you hear one, and then everyone's saying, shut up. Stop doing that. The entire just screaming horrific things, way out of bounds things is out of control. And you know what? It makes you sit there and you wonder, where are the adults in the room? Where are the adults? Because I know in the Upper Cumberland,
give them the dings.
We've got some unbelievable athletic directors. And the second that stuff starts, and you can watch it on our cameras, the athletic directors go up and cut it out or kick you out.
And that's exactly why Cookville student section didn't take the bait.
And their AD, Adam Kefauver, was here today, and they're not going to – that starts it in. And so a 15-year-old maybe not have the best judgment all the time. Where's the adult and the administration in the state tournament to go down and stop your student? Don't tell them to be quiet. You can yell, have a good time, cut that nonsense out. The adults need to show up, especially on Saturday, because that team's coming back. The adults need to show up. It's gross.
There you go. Noah,
man,
it's been a good segment.
Well,
it's exactly is exactly why.
That's why we have Noah McKay on. Absolutely. I mean, and it's unfortunate that we get sidetracked by that kind of thing, but that needed to be said, man, because and there are too many other student sections and too many other administrations that don't do that. Like you said, kids don't always make the best decisions.
And the tournament's been great. The basketball's been great. The crowds have been great. It's like you guys were saying, we had double overtime yesterday. We shouldn't have to talk about this during the tournament, but somebody
really
has to talk
shouldn't.
about
But somebody has to, because their administration apparently isn't. So, yeah.
Hey, Mo, we've got about 5 minutes left. Noah, you can stick around for this if you want to,
I'm
because
here.
We do need to mention one thing. The Titans have released Ben Jones. Saves about $3.5 million in cap space right now. I'm not sure what that matters. It's a very small amount.
It is a very small amount, since I think they already have the most cap space of anyone in the league
It's pretty close.
I think they were upwards of 23 million after the Bud Dupree release and some of the others that they've had. So now they are even higher. I guess 26, 27 million
Probably
under the cap. Now, I mean, you can have all the cap space you want, but if you're not, what are you going to do with it? Becomes the next question.
Well, they have 4, maybe 5 starter level offensive players. You got to go. You got to go buy an offense.
And 2 of them are Tannehill and Henry,
who
both of whom are supposedly on the block. Yeah.
To me, that's a message signing. It is a younger, faster, healthier signing. And you know, the first few were cap hits, no doubt about it. But Ben Jones, 2 concussions in less than a month to end the regular season.
And he's older anyway.
In his 30s.
Thinking about retiring probably. So that makes sense.
And to me, that's just another, you know, what do we say all during the season? The offensive line's a turnstile. And he was the best player on that offensive line this year by a mile. But you got to rebuild it. And I think the Titans are saying it's okay to take it. I don't see them. This is a total rebuild because they're not doing it on the defensive side of the ball outside of Bud Dupree. And Zach Cunningham didn't play. They don't have to, but I think this is a whatever we got to do to get younger, to get stronger, to get more consistent. And whether it takes 2 years and they get a high draft pick next year, that may be part of it. But to me, that's what and this is the thought process I have, guys. You're not going to win a Super Bowl. What moves can you do to put yourself in position 2 to 3 years from now to maybe be back in that discussion?
And what is that? Because the closest you got to a Super Bowl, you did it without a defense at all. You didn't even have one. You could have went out there with Vanderbilt's defense and had the same exact opportunities.
Why Vanderbilt? What did they do?
Well, because they're college and they're in Nashville.
The defense wasn't good, Mo.
My point was
it's not
the
good.
Titans defense wasn't very good. You could have went out there with a college defense and been just as good.
I'm just feeling kind of bad about Clark Lee sitting out here catching strays. He ain't done nothing to nobody. You know, leave Clark alone.
Had nothing to do with that. Just the level of play, pro versus college. And they're in Nashville, so you could have just picked them up and drove a bus over, is my point. That being said, you've got a great defense now everywhere except the corners. You feel like Monty Rice is going to give you an opportunity to be really good back on the edge. You've got to find – not Monty Rice.
Harold
Landry. Monty Rice does –
inside linebacker.
He's not a bad inside linebacker, and it's better than not playing Zach Cunningham. So
I do think, though, you look at this. Would anyone really be surprised if Tannehill's the next one to drop here in this spot? I mean, to me, the same conversation comes into play.
No, angry, yes. Because, and we'll give you this quote.
Yep.
You can use it if you want.
Okay.
Anytime.
Yep.
It comes from Michael Sean Dugar, who covers the Seattle Seahawks. It's a lot easier in the National Football League to get worse at quarterback than it is to get better.
Very true. That's a good point. But Ryan Tannehill's a 35-year-old quarterback in the AFC with not a lot of weapons around him. If you're going to blow it up, you're going to blow it up. If you're going to rebuild, then if you're going to reload, you're going to have to figure out a way to reload. And so do you sit here if you're Rand Carthon and say, hey, you know what? We're going to trade Ryan Tannehill and Malik Willis and Joshua Dobbs. If you take off and fly, great. And if you don't, we're going to have a really high draft pick next year to address that position.
There you go. That's going to do it for this episode of Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. We say goodbye today from the Lee Company studio at the Blue Cross Basketball Championships. Be back on Monday at 2 o'clock from our humble abodes. So that's right. Yeah. We appreciate it, and we'll see you then. Mo?
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.